You can't take everyone with you. Some people are part of your history, not your destiny. And if you keep dragging the weight of who they were, what they said, or what they did, you'll never rise. Listen to me. There are some folks, some habits, some memories, some failures that you gotta leave behind. Not because you don't love them, but because your future demands your focus. You're trying to fly, but you're holding on to anchors. You're trying to evolve, but you keep checking the rearview mirror. That's not living. That's surviving in reverse. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's necessary. You can't rewrite your future if you keep rereading your pain. If they didn't believe in you, leave them. If they only showed up when you were down, leave them. If they mocked your dream, leave them. Because your journey ain't a group project. It's personal. You gotta let the dead weight go. You gotta stop resurrecting memories that don't deserve life anymore. You gotta stop trying to fix people who broke you. You gotta stop waiting for closure from people who never gave you clarity. You gotta be okay with moving forward, even if nobody claps, even if nobody comes with you, even if it's just you and your dream. This is the season of separation. Not out of hate, but out of purpose. You can't grow forward while clinging backward. That's not just a quote. It's a truth that most people avoid because it forces you to confront the uncomfortable. So many of us are trying to build a better future, trying to level up, trying to evolve, but we're doing it with one foot stuck in the past. We say we want change, but we're dragging all the pain, all the fade, all the pee, all the fade when we don't believe in us into the next season. And then we wonder why we feel heavy. We wonder why success feels impossible. It's because progress is impossible when you're carrying yesterday's weight into tomorrow. Think about it. You can't move into your purpose while you're still connected to your past pain. You can't access your future while you're holding hands with old habits. You're not failing because you're not talented. You're failing because you refuse to let go. Every time you take a step forward, you're reaching back. Every time a door opens, you hesitate because your mind is still locked in a season that has expired. You're not stuck because life is unfair. You're stuck because you're still trying to bring yesterday's mindset into today's opportunity. Listen to me. Growth requires release. You've got to let go of who you were, who hurt you, and who left. You can't water a new life while holding dead roots. You're trying to build a future while renting space in your heart to people who don't even think about you anymore. They moved on, but you're still playing the same scene over and over again like it's going to change. But the truth is, capping, they did what they did. You made that mistake. You failed that class. You trusted the wrong person. And yes, it hurt. But it's time to stop giving your energy to things you can't change and start investing that energy in the only thing you can control. What comes next? There's power in your forward motion, but only if you stop carrying your backward attachments. You can't drive looking in the rearview mirror on up. You'll crash every time. And that's what's happening. You're crashing emotionally, spiritually, mentally, because you're fixated on what went wrong instead of what could go right. It's time to clean the house. Time to clean the house. Time to evict the thoughts, the people, the voices that no longer align with your growth. You can't rise if you're still entertaining distractions from your past life. Sometimes growth looks like choosing silence over explaining yourself. Sometimes growth is leaving the text unanswered, the call ignored, the memory unvisited, not because you're bitter, but because your peace matters more. You gotta build a new identity, and that takes energy, focus, and distance. Some people won't understand why you changed, and that's okay. You're not responsible for explaining evolution. You're responsible for walking it out. You say you wanna be successful. You say you wanna be great. Yeah? Then you've got to get comfortable with letting go of everything and everyone that's slowing you down. And sometimes that means saying goodbye to people you love. Sometimes it means breaking habits you've had since childhood. Sometimes it means starting over with no applause and no support. But let me tell you something. Everything you want is on the other side of that discomfort. Stop clinging to what broke you. Stop justifying staying stuck. Stop telling yourself you need closure to move forward. You don't need closure. You need commitment. Commitment to your vision. Commitment to your healing. Commitment to becoming everything you were created to be. There's no growth without sacrifice. There's no future if you keep dragging the past behind you like a shadow. Not everyone is meant for your next level. It sounds harsh, but it's one of the most freeing truths you'll ever accept. We live in a world that tells us to take everyone with us, to keep the same friends, the same environment, the same circle, no matter how much we grow. But the reality is, growth requires separation. Elevation demands elimination. When you start stepping into your calling, not everyone will understand it. Not everyone will support it. And not everyone can handle it. The more you evolve, the more you'll see that some people were only meant to walk with you for a season, not a lifetime. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that loyalty to people can't override loyalty to your purpose. You've been trying to carry people who refuse to walk. You've been trying to bring people with you who aren't willing to change. And it's killing your momentum. It's stealing your energy. It's breaking your focus. You're trying to fit people into a space they've outgrown or never belonged in to begin with. You're shrinking yourself, dulling your shine, second-guessing your decisions, all in the name of keeping people around who can't handle your transformation. Growth makes people uncomfortable, especially those who have built their comfort around your limitation. When you start changing your mindset, when you start chasing discipline, when you stop complaining, start creating, it challenges the people who don't want to do the work. Suddenly you're acting different. Suddenly you think you're better than everyone else. But the truth is, you're not better. You're just done. Done with mediocrity, done with excuses, done with the small talk, the drama, the same cycles that go nowhere. And let me tell you something, you don't owe anyone an apology for growing. You don't have to explain why you're choosing peace over chaos. You don't have to defend your dream to people who never believed in it. You don't need permission to outgrow environments that no longer align with your vision. Some people love the broken version of you. Some people were loyal to your wounds, not your wisdom. They liked you when you were lost because it made them feel better about staying stuck. But now that you're getting clarity, now that you're leveling up, their silence is louder than ever. Don't let that stop you. You see, the higher you go, the smaller the crowd becomes. That's just how elevation works. Birds don't fly and fly at high altitudes. Eagles soar alone. And if you want to become everything you're capable of becoming, you have to accept that you might have to walk that path without applause, without validation, and without the people you thought would always be there. And it's not personal, it's purpose. The path to greatness is narrow. And not everybody has the discipline, the vision, or the heart to walk it with you. You gotta protect your space. You gotta guard your time. You gotta prioritize your peace. Because the wrong people will talk you out of the right decisions. The wrong circle will keep you tied to the old version of you. They'll remind you of your mistakes, your past, your flaws. Anything to keep you from seeing what you're truly capable of. That's why you gotta surround yourself with people who challenge you, who stretch you, who believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself. And if you can't find that yet, then walk alone until you do. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about your growth to stop sacrificing it for people who don't value it. You're not abandoning, you're choosing yourself. And that's not selfish, it's necessary. Your dreams deserve your full focus. Your healing deserves your full commitment. Your purpose deserves your full attention. And none of that can happen if you're constantly tied to people who drain your energy, question your worth, or laugh at your ambition. So stop forcing people to be part of your journey just because they were part of your history. Stop rewriting the script to keep characters who no longer serve the plot. Stop confusing loyalty with limitation. You can love someone and still leave them behind. You can wish them well and still walk away. Because the truth is, if they were meant for your next level, they'd be evolving too. They'd be growing with you. They'd be showing up differently. But if all they do is bring distraction, drama, and doubt, then it's time to move forward without them. The next level of your life isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you are always capable. But you've got to be willing to release the weight. You've got to be okay with being misunderstood. You've got to embrace the loneliness that sometimes comes with leadership. Because what's waiting for you is bigger than where you've been. But only if you're willing to leave behind who can't come with you. They don't hate you. They hate the fact that you didn't stay broken. That's what really eats at them. It's not just that you got hurt. It's not just that you went through hell. It's that you came out of it stronger. You were supposed to give up. You were supposed to stay down. You were supposed to be the person who never got back up. That's what they counted on. That's what they expected. But you did. You rose. And now your healing offends them. Your confidence irritates them. Your growth confuses them. Because people who are committed to their own limitations always feel threatened by those who refuse to stay limited. You were underestimated. You were overlooked. They counted you out because of where you came from, because of your mistakes, because of what happened to you. They pointed fingers, spread rumors, laughed when you struggled. But here you are, still standing, still moving, still fighting for something greater. That's what they can't handle. They can't understand how you took all that pain and turned it into power. How you took every insult and used it as fuel. How you took every "you'll never make it" and made it your mission. That kind of comeback scares people who never tried to rise at all. See, some people are comfortable when you're broken. When you're broken, they feel strong. When you're broken, they feel right. When you're broken, they feel better about their own lives because they don't have to grow. They don't have to change. They don't have to reflect. Your brokenness kept them comfortable. Your wounds gave them something to gossip about. Your struggle gave them a sense of superiority, so when you started healing, when you started rising, they got quiet. Or worse, they got bitter. They don't hate you. They hate the reflection of what they chose not to become. You remind them of their excuses. You remind them of their fear. You remind them of the dreams they buried and the courage they never found. And instead of being inspired by your growth, they resent it. Instead of cheering for your progress, they try to diminish it. Oh, they think they're better now. They've changed. They forgot where they came from. But the truth is, you didn't forget. You just refused to stay there. There's something powerful about surviving what was meant to destroy you. It gives you a different kind of energy, a different kind of energy, a different kind of focus. You walk differently. You speak with more conviction. You love with more purpose. And that kind of transformation can't be explained. It has to be earned. It's not just about success. It's about resilience, about grit, about the fact that when everything fell apart, you didn't. And now you're being punished not for failing, but for recovering. It's not your job to make them comfortable with your healing. It's not your responsibility to downplay your growth to fit into spaces that only celebrated your struggle. You were not created to live small just to avoid their insecurity. If your growth makes them uncomfortable, let it. If your confidence makes them uneasy, let it. If your success makes them bitter, that's not your burden to carry. You paid the price for your peace. You fought for your freedom. You cried for your clarity. You bled for your breakthrough, You don't owe anyone an explanation for your rising. Let them talk. Let them throw shade. Let them twist the story. You don't need to prove anything to people who only knew you were broken. Your healing will be your defense. Your progress will be your proof. Your life will speak louder than their rumors ever could. You don't need revenge. You don't need revenge. You don't need to clap back. You don't need to convince them of who you are now. Keep growing. Keep building. Keep shining. Because the best response to their hate is your success and your peace. You didn't come this far to apologize for it. You didn't survive the fire just to dim your flame. You didn't rise from the ashes just to sit quietly in the corner of someone else's comfort zone. You are becoming the version of you that they never thought would exist. And that's powerful. That's beautiful. That's what they can't stand. So walk boldly, live fully, speak with authority. You've earned your place at the table. You've earned the right to dream out loud. You've earned the freedom to live healed, loved, and limitless. They may never admit, but deep down, they don't hate you. They hate you made it. They hate that you made it, that you didn't quit. They hate that you turned your pain into power and your story into strength. And that's okay. Let them hate. Because while they're busy talking, you'll be busy winning. Letting go is not bitterness. It's brilliance. People often confuse moving on with being cold, heartless, or bitter. But the truth is, there's power in release. There's wisdom in choosing yourself. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's not about making a statement. It's about understanding that your time, energy, and peace are worth protecting. And sometimes the smartest, most mature thing you can do is to walk away. Not because you hate them, not because you wish them harm, but because you finally realize you can't carry what's crushing you and still rise. Too many people stay stuck in toxic cycles because they're afraid of being called bitter. They stay loyal to situations that rob them of joy just to prove a point. They keep showing up for people who no longer see their value, thinking it makes them strong. But strength isn't in how much pain you can tolerate. Real strength is knowing when enough is enough. It's being wise enough to say, this no longer serves me, and courageous enough to act on it. You don't have to carry bitterness to move forward. You don't have to hold grudges or seek revenge. You just need to make a decision. I will no longer shrink myself for people who refuse to grow. There's a lie that tells you letting go means you lost. That walking away means you gave up. But what if it means you finally woke up? What if the real loss is staying in a place where you're not appreciated, not respected, not loved the way you deserve? What if the real victory is reclaiming your peace, your power, your purpose? You're not walking away because you're weak. You're walking away because you're done explaining your word to people who never deserved a seat at your table in the first place. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing peace. You don't have to justify your boundary, your silence, or your distance. Some things are simply too costly to entertain. Your mental health matters, your energy matters, your dreams matter. And if something consistently brings you down, clouds your clarity, or drains your spirit, you have every right to walk away from it without guilt. That's not bitterness, that's brilliance. That's you finally choosing yourself over the chaos that tried to convince you it was normal. Forgiveness and freedom are not the same as tolerance. You can forgive people, wish them well, and still never let them back into your space. You can release the anger and still hold the line. You can be kind, and still keep your distance. You can have love in your heart and still walk away from someone who's not healthy for your soul. We've been taught that love means holding on at all costs. But real love, true love, sometimes looks like letting go of them, of the expectations that never matched your reality. People may call you cold. They may say you've changed. They may accuse you of being distant. That's okay. They weren't supposed to understand your evolution. They were only comfortable with the version of you who tolerated everything. Now that you've chosen to protect your space, your time, your values, they feel threatened. Let them. Because the version of you that allowed everything, that accepted disrespect, that kept the peace while suffering in silence, that version of you is gone. And in its place is someone who finally understands their worth. You have to stop romanticizing pain. Stop calling it loyalty when it's really self-abandonment. Stop calling it patience when it's really denial. You deserve relationships that pour into you, environments that uplift you, people who see you and value you for real. But you'll never find those things if you keep holding space for what you know is breaking you. Letting go isn't an act of cruelty, it's an act of clarity. You finally see things for what they are, and you love yourself enough to say, this ends here. There's a peace that comes with no longer needing to be right, no longer needing to be heard or understood by people who refuse to see you. You stop chasing closure. You stop arguing for your worth. You stop begging for reciprocation. Because now you understand that peace is more valuable than being validated by people who never really cared. You learn to sit with silence instead of forcing connection. You learn to grow in solitude instead of shrinking in company. You learn that your peace is worth more than their approval. Letting go is not about forgetting. It's about prioritizing. It's about deciding what truly matters and choosing to build your life around that. Every time you release something that's not for you, you create space for something greater. And that's what brilliance is. It's not about being louder, tougher, or meaner. It's about being wise enough to know what deserves your energy and brave enough to protect it. When you let go of what weighs you down, you rise. And rising isn't bitterness. It's the beautiful, brilliant result of knowing your worth and walking in it unapologetically. They were a chapter, not your conclusion. That line right there can free you if you let it. Too many people build their identity around temporary experience. They take one failure, one heartbreak, one rejection, and let it define everything that comes after. But just because something happened to you doesn't mean it is you. Just because someone left doesn't mean you're unworthy. Just because you messed up doesn't mean you're a failure. That moment, that situation, that person, they were just a chapter, not the end, not the full story. Just a piece of the journey. Think about a book. A great book has highs and lows, struggles and victories, mistakes and recoveries. You don't stop reading at the first sad page and say, that's it. The story's over. No, you keep reading because you believe it gets better. So why do we stop in life when something goes wrong? Why do we let the painful pages convince us there's nothing more to come? The problem is not what happened. Problem is how tightly we hold on to it. We keep rereading that same chapter over and over again in our minds, trying to make sense of it, trying to change it, trying to understand why it ended. But no matter how many times you revisit it, it won't change. It won't change. The only way forward is to turn the page. There are people who are only meant to be part of your development, not your destiny. They were there to teach you, to show you something about yourself, to push you into the next version of you. That heartbreak, it taught you what you deserve. That failure, it showed you how bad you want it. That loss, it reminded you what really matters. But they were not the final word. They were just preparation. So stop mourning the ending and start preparing for the next beginning. You gotta be okay with not having closure from everything. You're not gonna get all the answers. Some people walked away without explanation. Some dreams crumbled without warning. Some opportunities vanished before you could even grab them. That doesn't mean your story's over. It just means you got a new chapter to write. One with more clarity, more strength, and more purpose. The hurt might still be there, but so is your heartbeat. As long as you're still breathing, the pen is still in your hand. The world will try to tell you that your pain disqualifies you, that because you failed before, you'll fail again, that because they left, you're not lovable. But the truth is, pain isn't the end. It's often the beginning of something more powerful. Some of the strongest people you ever meet have been through chapters they don't talk about anymore. Not because they're hiding, but because they've healed. They stopped rereading the part of their life that broke them and started writing a story that built them. You don't owe your past anymore of your future. You've spent enough time reliving what went wrong. It's time to create what can go right. It's time to create what can go right. Start building. Start dreaming again. Start believing in something beyond the loss. You don't have to forget what happened, but you do have to stop letting it control your narrative. Every moment you waste on what was is a moment you rob from what could be. Stop thinking your story is over because something ended. Life is full of endings, but every ending carries within it the seed of a new beginning. That friendship ended. Maybe it made room for a more authentic one. That job ended. Maybe it pushed you into your real passion. That door closed. Maybe because there's something better waiting around the corner. But you'll never know if you keep staring at the past like it still owes you something. It doesn't. It gave you a lesson. It gave you experience. Now give yourself permission to move forward. Too many people are like they're stuck on a page that's already been written. Afraid to turn the page because they don't know what's next. But unknown doesn't mean unsafe. Unwritten doesn't mean unworthy. The next chapter might be the best one yet, but you'll never find out if you stay stuck in the pain of the last one. So stop identifying with your broken chapter. Stop letting one moment become your forever mindset. You are not what happened to you. You are what you decide to do next. You get to choose how the story ends. Will you let that one chapter become your identity, or will you use it as fuel? Will you live in regret, or will you rise in resilience? You've come too far to let one part of your story cancel the rest. So breathe, release it, and write something new. The pen is still in your hand, and the story isn't over, not even close. Forgiveness is freedom. Forgetting is forward. So many people get stuck not because they don't want to move on, but because they're still holding onto the weight of what happened. The pain, the betrayal, the disappointment, it's like a chain around their mind, their heart, their decision. They carry it everywhere. Shows up in their conversations, in their silence, in their hesitation to trust again. What they don't realize is that the pain isn't just a memory, it's a prison. And forgiveness isn't about letting the other person off the hook. It's about setting yourself free. When you forgive, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're not pretending it didn't hurt. You're not ignoring the damage. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, but it releases you from being controlled by it. It's not about them. It's about them. It's about you. It's about choosing peace over poison. Because every time you replay the betrayal, every time you feed that bitterness, you're giving them power. You're handing over your joy, your focus, your energy to someone who's probably not even thinking about you. And you've got too much purpose in front of you to keep living tied to what's behind you. But freedom doesn't stop at forgiveness. If you really want to move forward, you got to be willing to forget. Not forget like you erase your memory, but forget like you stop carrying the weight of it into every new opportunity. You stop letting it define your self-worth. You stop letting it make your decisions for you. You stop letting it close your heart. Because what happened is part of your story, but it's not the whole story. And if you keep dragging it with you, you'll contaminate every new beginning with the pain of what ended. Moving forward takes more than just saying, I forgive you. It takes a decision to no longer live in reaction to what broke you. It means building something new instead of constantly trying to fix what's already fallen apart. It means giving yourself permission to love again, to dream again, to try again, even if the last time didn't work out. It's refusing to let what hurt you become what defines you. Some people wear their pain like a badge. They hold on to it because it became part of their identity. They talk about who hurt them, how it happened, and what they lost, until that becomes the only thing they know how to talk about. But there's no healing in repetition. You don't heal by reliving it. You heal by releasing it. Forgiveness says, I will no longer let this control me. Forgetting says, I will no longer give this space in my future. It's not easy. Sometimes the wound runs deep. Sometimes the betrayal came from the people you trusted the most. Sometimes the pain changed how you see yourself. But even then, you still have the power to choose freedom. You don't need closure to forgive. You don't need an apology to move on. Sometimes the person who hurt you will never understand the damage they caused. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to stop reliving the trauma every day. Your responsibility is to choose healing even when it's hard. Letting go doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to stop carrying what's crushing you. You can't build a future while clinging to the wreckage of the past. You can't start fresh if every time something goes wrong, you mentally go back to that same moment where everything fell apart. You gotta cut the cord. Not just with people, but with patterns, with narratives, with the version of you that was wounded. That version of you did the best they could. They survived. But now it's time to thrive. Stop measuring your future with the ruler of your past. Stop assuming every new person is gonna hurt you like the last one did. Stop expecting failure because that's all you've known before. That's not forgetting. That's forecasting failure. And you deserve more than that. You deserve more than that. You deserve a clean slate, a heart that's not guarded by trauma, a vision that's not clouded by pain. But it starts with releasing. Releasing the grudge, releasing the shame, releasing the storyline that always ends in hurt. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life come the moment you finally say, I'm done carrying this. You forgive not because they deserve it, but because you do. You forget not because it wasn't real, but because your future is more real. You stop looking back. You stop talking about it. You stop letting it have the loudest voice in your mind. And every day you wake up and make the decision to live free. Free from the pain. Free from the past. Free to finally become everything you were created to be, without the shadow of yesterday dimming your light. Their opinion doesn't fund your dream. You've got to stop giving so much power to people who have no investment in your future. The dream you're carrying wasn't given to them. It was given to them. The vision you have, the ideas burning in your soul, the fire you feel when you think about where you want to go, that was placed in you, not in them. So why do you keep letting their voices drown out your own? Why do you stop creating because they laugh? Why do you shrink your ambition to fit inside their comfort zone? Their opinion doesn't pay your bills. It doesn't build your future. And it definitely doesn't validate your calling. The truth is, most of the people criticizing you aren't doing anything themselves. They may comfort their king and fear their friend. They never chase the dream. They never risk failure. They never stood on the edge of purpose and jumped. But here you are, trying, growing, risking, believing. You're doing what they never had the courage to do. And because they can't understand it, tear it down. That's not insecurity. And you've got to be strong enough to recognize the difference. You don't owe your dream an audience. You owe it execution. Stop waiting for people to clap before you move. Stop checking the likes, the shares, the comments before you commit to your path. Stop watering down your voice to make it easier for them to swallow. You weren't called to be popular. You were called to be purposeful. You were called to rise up, even when no one believes in you. especially when no one believes in you, because the dream is your responsibility. Some people will never see your vision clearly because they weren't meant to. You're speaking future and they're stuck in history. You're thinking long term and they can't see past next weekend. You're focused on legacy and they're focused on likes, and that's okay. You don't need everyone to see it. You just need to see it for yourself. You need to stop looking for confirmation from people who never committed to anything in their own lives. You need to silence the noise and get locked in on your mission. Your dream is sacred. Don't hand it over to people who treat it like entertainment. Don't waste your energy trying to convince someone who's already decided not to believe in you. That's not your job. Your job is to build. Your job is to wake up every morning and take a step, even when it's small, even when it's scary, even when the only support you have is the voice inside you saying, oh, don't quit. You don't have time to argue with critics. You don't have time to defend your dream to people who laugh at it. While they're busy talking, you need to be busy building. While they're analyzing every little move you make, you need to be moving towards something greater. They might not understand your grind today, but one day they'll have no choice but to respect your growth. And even if they don't, you didn't do it for them anyway. Stop doubting your vision just because someone else doesn't get it. They're not supposed to. It wasn't their download. It wasn't their assignment. It's not their life. You've been given something unique, a voice, a gift, a story. And the world needs it. But you'll never deliver it if you keep adding yourself to fit their expectation. You'll never fulfill it if you keep seeking their approval before taking action. Approval's a trap. It keeps you small, scared, and stuck. Purpose sets you free. You got to get to the point where your belief is louder than their opinion, where your fire burns hotter than their doubt, where your focus is so intense that you don't even hear the noise anymore. That doesn't happen overnight. It happens every single time you choose you over them. Every single time you choose action over hesitation. Every single time you say, oh, this is mine to do, and I'm doing it with or without applause. The most dangerous thing you can do is let someone who gave up on their dream talk you out of yours. Don't inherit their fear. Don't adopt their limitation. Just because they didn't make it doesn't mean you won't. Just because they failed doesn't mean you will. Your path is your own, and every step you take toward it is a statement. I believe in what I've been called to build. So let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them mock, laugh, and misunderstand. None of that changes your assignment. None of that takes away your talent. None of that alters your value. You keep moving. You keep showing up. You keep pushing. Because at the end of the day, their opinion isn't building your dream. You are. That's all that matters. You heal faster when you stop picking the scabs of what wounded you. So many of us say we want to heal, but our actions say otherwise. We keep revisiting the pain, reopening the wound, replaying the memory. We talk about it again and again, not to grow, not to process, but to feel it again. We scroll through old pictures, reread the old messages, and go back to the people who hurt us. We stay in the same environment, have the same conversations, live in the same patterns, and expect healing to just show up like a miracle. But healing isn't automatic. It's intentional. And it begins the moment you stop feeding the pain. What most people don't realize is that emotional wounds work like physical ones. They need time, care, and protection to close. If you had a cut on your skin, you wouldn't keep poking at it every day, pulling it open, pouring salt on it, and then wonder why it's not healing. But that's exactly what many of us do with our emotional scar. We keep talking about the betrayal, revisiting the breakup, replaying the failure. We rehearse the moment someone disappointed us like it's a script we can't forget. But every time we do that, we slow the healing process. We stay stuck. Not because the pain is too deep, but because we keep digging. Healing takes discipline. It takes a conscious decision to say, I've felt this enough. I've cried over this enough. I've carried this weight long enough. Now it's time to put it down. That doesn't mean you forget what happened. That means you choose to stop giving it power. It means you finally say, this pain may be part of my story, but it's not going to define the rest of it. You don't heal by avoiding the truth, but you also don't heal by becoming addicted to the suffering. Some people get comfortable in their pain. It becomes familiar, like a worn-out blanket. They don't even know who they be without the anger, the resentment, the sadness. But healing is about becoming. It's about rediscovering yourself beyond the pain. And you can't do that if you're constantly scratching the surface of your wounds. You've got to give yourself permission to walk away from what broke you. Not because you're weak, but because you're finally choosing strength over suffering. You've got to stop using your wound as an identity. You are not what happened to you. You are not your trauma. You are not the mistake. You are not the heartbreak. You are not the one who got left, lied to or abandoned. Yes, it happened, but you survived it. And now it's time to live like someone who did. You can't live fully if your mind is stuck in the past. You can't love deeply if your heart is still guarded by pain. You can't build something new if you're clinging to what already collapsed. Letting go isn't easy. Sometimes the pain feels safer than the unknown. But you gotta trust that what's ahead of you is better than what's behind. You gotta trust that your future deserves a version of you that's not bleeding from old wounds. And to get there, you gotta stop giving so much attention to the things that hurt you. Stop revisiting the same storylines. Stop refreshing the same conversations. Stop searching for answers in people who already showed you who they are. Healing is found in peace, not in proof. You don't need to prove how much it hurt. You don't need to explain to everyone why you're not okay. You don't need them to say sorry. You don't need closure. If it costs you your future, Sometimes closure is just accepting that they were wrong and deciding you're done waiting for an apology that may never come. Sometimes closure is choosing your own peace over the chaos of the past. You will start to heal the moment you decide to stop bleeding. Not because the pain disappears overnight, but because you stop giving it permission to rule your life. The pain will not, the memories will rise, the feelings will come back, but you'll meet them with strength. You'll say, I've come too far to go back there. You'll say, I've cried too long to keep watering that grief. You'll remind yourself daily if needed that your life is bigger than the thing that tried to break you. You were not meant to live in survival mode forever. You were not created to carry your pain like a badge. You were made to thrive, to laugh again, to love again, to believe again. But that starts with stopping the cycle. Stop picking at the scabs. Stop feeding the wounds. And start doing the real work. Therapy, prayer, reflection, stillness, boundary. Whatever it takes to stop the bleeding and start the building. Because healing isn't just about getting over what happened. It's about stepping into what's possible. And you can't do that if you keep reopening what was supposed to be closed. You're not broken, you're becoming. So stop picking. Let it heal and give yourself permission to rise. Your future can't begin until your past stops leading. So many people are desperate for a new chapter in their lives, but they're still following the instructions of an old pain. They want better relationships, but they still act out of fear from the one that broke them. They want success, but they still doubt themselves because of the failure that humiliated them. They want to walk in peace, but they're still rehearsing the chaos of what was. Your life cannot change if your decisions are still being directed by memories that hurt you. At some point, you have to take the pen back and start writing a new script. The past is loud, especially when it's painful. It screams at you when you're about to try again. It reminds you of everything that went wrong. It brings up every time you were disappointed, rejected, abandoned. And if you're not careful, you'll let those echoes dictate how you show up now. You'll love with caution, speak with hesitation, and live like a version of you that doesn't even exist anymore. You're no longer in that situation. You're no longer under that pressure. But you're still carrying the mindset of the person who survived it. There's nothing wrong with remembering. There's nothing wrong with honoring what shaped you. But there's something deeply wrong with letting the most broken part of your past become the compass for your future. That moment was meant to teach you, not trap you. You were meant to grow from it, not stay loyal to it. Some people are stuck not because they're not capable of moving forward, but because they built their entire identity around their pain. Their thoughts, choices, and dreams are all filtered through the lens of what hurt them. And until they release it, they'll never truly be free. You can't lead your life if you keep letting the past be the driver. You can't access what's next if you're always consulting what's already over. Life is not meant to be lived in rewind. Yes, that moment happened. Yes, it changed you. Yes, it was real. But now it's done. It's over. It cannot be rewritten and it cannot be relived. The only thing you can do is decide what kind of meaning we're going forward. Will it be your anchor or will it be your launch pad? There are people who are still living under the shadow of something that happened 5, 10, 20 years ago. They can't enjoy the present because they're chained to a version of themselves that was hurt, lied to, or left behind. Every new opportunity feels like a risk. Every time someone loves them, they question it. Every step forward feels like a setup. And that's not because the future is dangerous. It's because the past never let go. But here's the truth. The past didn't hold on to them. They held on to the past. Letting go is not erasing. It's choosing. It's choosing no longer allow what happened then to dictate who you are now. It's recognizing that you're no longer that broken person. You're no longer in survival mode. You've gained wisdom, strength, and resilience from what you endured. And now it's time to walk like it, talk like it, dream like it, decide like it. You can't let the younger, hurt version of you run your life. That version got you through the worst of it. But now it's time to hand the reins to the version of you that's ready to thrive. This isn't about pretending it didn't happen. It's about refusing to be defined by it anymore. Growth starts when you stop consulting your wounds before making decisions. Healing begins when you stop asking your trauma for permission to live again. You have a future that's waiting for you, a future that's not interested in your fears, your doubts, or your limitations. It's only waiting for your commitment. You need to stop building fences around your future just to feel safe from your past. You need to stop expecting the worst just because it's all you know. Your past may have been filled with storms, but that doesn't mean your next season won't bring sunshine. Stop showing up in life with a mindset that's expired. Stop treating your purpose like it's temporary. Start believing that what's in front of you is worth more than what's behind you. Your next level won't look like your last lesson. It will stretch you, challenge you, elevate you. But you'll miss it if you're still operating on instructional survival season that's long past. You're not there anymore. You're not them anymore. And you don't have your pain the steering wheel. Your story is still being written. And if you want the next chapter to be different, you've got to stop letting the old one tell you who you are. It's time to move with clarity, to dream with boldness, to trust without trembling. Your past is part of you, but it doesn't have to lead you. Take the pen back, turn the page, and write the kind of future your past never thought was possible. Because the moment you stop letting the past lead, your true life finally begins. Closure isn't always about conversation. Sometimes it's about making peace with the silence. So many people wait for healing to arrive through one final talk, one apology, one explanation that will somehow make the pain disappear. But the truth is, closure doesn't always come in words. It doesn't always come in a letter, a phone call, or a sit down where everything gets resolved. Sometimes closure is simply the moment you decide to stop waiting for them to fix what they broke. It's the moment you finally stop looking outside of yourself for healing and realize you are the one who holds the power to move on. We've been conditioned to believe that closure is something someone else gives us, that we need to understand why they left, why they hurt us, why they chose someone else, or why it ended the way it did. And so we hang on, hoping they'll come back and say all the right things. But more often than not, they don't. They vanish, they change. They move on without explanation, without remorse. And we're left holding pieces of a story that will never make sense. That's when you have to stop chasing answers and start reclaiming your peace. Sometimes closure is choosing to be done without the final conversation. Not because you don't care, but because you care enough about your peace, your future, your sanity. You realize that trying to force an ending that feels clean and mutual is often unrealistic. Some people don't have the emotional maturity to give you what you need. Some don't even understand the pain they caused. And even if they do, they might not care enough to correct it. Waiting on them to explain or apologize only keeps you chained to a moment that no longer deserves your presence. You give your power away every time you tie your healing to their response. Every time you say, well, I'll be okay once they call, once they say sorry, once they tell me why. You put your heart on hold for someone who already chose not to be there. Closure is not their responsibility, it's yours. It's the boundary you create when you say, I don't need them to make it right for me to move on. It's the decision you make when you stop needing justice to find joy. It hurts? Yes. It hurts to not get answered. It hurts to feel like your pain didn't matter to them. But healing doesn't wait for fairness. It waits for release. And release begins when you understand that closure doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means choosing to live fully despite it. It means choosing peace even when you never got an apology. It means choosing growth even when you never got the explanation. You can spend months, even years, trying to decode why they did what they did. Or you can spend that time rebuilding, rediscovering, and renewing yourself. There's strength in silence, in the quiet decision to no longer allow what happened to echo in your mind every day. There's power in moving forward without dragging the weight of a what if and a why. In fact, power is born when you stop needing permission to heal. When you stop needing the past to make sense before you step into the future. Not everything broken needs to be fixed. Some things just need to be let go. You may never get the closure you wanted, but you can still give yourself the closure you need. You can sit with the pain, acknowledge it, grieve it, and then choose to rise above it. You can tell yourself the truth. They might never come back. They might never explain. They might never make it right. But I still choose peace. I still choose to live. I still choose to grow. That's the kind of closure no conversation can give you. Only you can. Sometimes you don't need to go back and talk it out. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away without saying a word. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in strength. Because when you no longer need their words to feel worthy, you won. When you no longer need their version of the story to validate your pain, you've healed. And when you no longer wait for them to acknowledge your worth, you stepped into your power. Let go of the idea that closure has to be clean. It's not always a chapter that is neatly. It's often a page you rip out so you can write something new. The mess doesn't disqualify the healing. The mess doesn't disqualify the healing. The unanswered questions don't cancel your progress. You don't need their participation to move on. You just need your own permission. The permission to stop replaying. The permission to stop rewriting. The permission to stop waiting. Your story isn't stuck just because the ending wasn't fair. It's not broken just because it ended abruptly. Life keeps moving, and so should you. Let silence be your closure. Let peace be your proof that you've healed. Because you don't always need to find words to write a new beginning. Sometimes healing starts the moment you stop needing anything more from the people who already gave you less.